kind of dreading talking about this, but we're going to have to talk about it, right? Let's talk about the drama, because it is never ending on every front. So for us to talk about the drama, I'm going to toss it over to Elon, who's up there. Elon, take it away. I was pressing the wrong button. Elon, take it away. Hey, thanks, Elon from down there. They don't feed him very well. So here's the sitch. Before we get to the Arturo stuff, there's been another development in the Panda versus the Smash scene. Even though it isn't Panda versus Smash scene, it was Alan Bonet's actions versus the Smash scene, and then everybody went for Panda the organization, which was very unfortunate. So the last couple of members from Panda have resigned from Panda earlier this week, and it was Esam and Giuna and a couple other people have formally announced that they are no longer with Panda or being supported by Panda, which is a shame, right? Like Giuna, I'm a big fan of his content, right? I have plans of interviewing him and getting him on the show somehow. Esam, he's been, he's been in the Smash scene for freaking ever at this point. So it's very sad to see that. And it's also very sad to see a lot of other people who worked behind the scenes over at Panda are trying to find their next step. And that's very unfortunate. If we take it all the way back, you know what? Hold on. I think we need just a little bit of this. It was just too quiet in here. Now, if we take it back to when this was a fresh issue, the big issue was Alan Bonet, who was the CEO of Panda at the time, was allegedly strong-arming events in the Smash community to join the Panda circuit, right? Which was the official Nintendo circuit. It rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, and it turned into an Alan versus the rest of the Smash scene type of thing, right? The bad side of that was that since Alan is a representative of Panda, everybody started going for Panda the organization. So people who had nothing to do with anything were getting harassed and death threats and all this other bullshit. So that's never okay, right? It got so bad that a lot of people started leaving Panda because they didn't want to deal with it, or they were unhappy with Alan as a CEO. Alan had his interview, which I still haven't seen, mostly because at this point it's over, right? Alan divested from Panda. So my hope was that since Alan divested from Panda, that Panda would be able to return and be able to continue on just with some better leadership. Maybe better leadership is not... Well, yeah, with some better leadership. However, that wasn't the case. Once Alan left, Panda kind of stopped, which is very, very unfortunate. And it hurt a lot of people who had nothing to do with anything and just happened to be very unlucky getting stuck in the middle of all this, right? Now, remember what I said. A lot of people were just stuck in the middle of this, lost their jobs, lost their source of income and everything. So it was very sad. It was very sad for everybody involved. And the fault of one person doing some shady shit led this angry mob to just attack people who had nothing to do with anything. So it's very bad for the FGC that Panda as an organization has stopped. They're still there-ish, but everybody's leaving. So it's bad for the FGC in general. It's bad for the Smash scene in general because, they, at the end of the day, the players who were playing the game were there for that, right? It's a big loss for everybody involved, right? Because, they were trying to go the content creator route, and that was supposed to help build more awareness towards the FGC, blah, 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 blah. Something came out a little earlier this week that has upset me a little bit about this whole situation. Genesis, which is a big tournament in the Smash scene, unveiled a magazine that they have called Majors, and it was the last issue. And in this issue of Majors was this photo. That is a panda hat set on fire. Now, once again, I think people being upset with Alan is 100% valid, right? However, being upset at people who had nothing to do with anything is absolutely not valid. So putting something like this on an issue, I don't think it's the most tasteful thing ever. As a matter of fact, I think it's very distasteful. So especially, again, the one person that fucked it up for everybody is gone, and there are other people there trying to pick up the pieces, and this kind of stuff doesn't really help. So it's unfortunate, and it's getting petty in a way that makes everything look bad. Now that, you know, the evil has been uprooted, let's go back to being supportive and raising everybody up and trying to get everybody elevated instead of punching people down. So honestly, it does kind of, like, I see what they were trying to say, but I think in wake of a bunch of people losing their jobs and stability and all of the people that worked behind the scenes who had nothing to do with anything, I feel like that's disrespectful to them. I cannot give two shits about Alan Benet. I don't care. But the people that were involved with everything, those are the people that are hurting, and I don't think they deserve to be hurt, which is very unfortunate. Speaking of people that are hurting, I'm hurting after following yet another bit of FGC drama. Really, I don't think it's drama. You know, well, let's dive into it. So, for those of you that are unaware, right before the new year ended, Macherino came out with a statement against Arturo Sanchez, NYC Furby, saying that he is no longer a part of Macherino because he mishandled funds, and they're still investigating, blah, 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 making Art look really bad. Arturo's response was then to get on a stream with Rob TV to help him present his side of the argument. Through no fault of Rob TV and no fault of Arturo, the stream didn't go great. So it made things look worse when it was supposed to make things look better. After a lot more time and a lot more research has been done, a lot of people are coming out in support of Arturo, including players and tournament organizers, which, according to other people, were going to come out with stories against Arturo. So we're in this thing where one side took the opportunity of this announcement to try to present information and try to push an agenda in a way, right? Now things are being pushed the other way, and I'll give credit where credit is due. A big help to help frame everything that's gone down has been Fnatic. Fnatic put together two videos. Specifically, I think the later of the two videos is the most helpful. But Fnatic put together two videos that explain the situation, shows why the situation is happening, and then shows why the situation is not what we think. It's very interesting because, you know, as soon as you see something like Arturo mishandled funds, especially coming from, like, you know, the esports backdrop or like the company logo of information, you kind of take their word for it. And now that more information is coming out, the reaction from the community, I think, was a little bit too quick, right? Which is why last week I said we have to implement a new philosophy here on Best of 5, and it's called letting them cook. So we let them cook. So essentially, all of this was happening, and it turned into a lot of he said, she said. It turned into people who weren't involved trying to get themselves involved, not necessarily like out of malice, but more like to like try to help. But it wound up not helping anything, and it wound up making things worse. So we just had to let it cook. Now, all of this information is coming out in support of Arturo and is showing that mishandling funds from tournaments wasn't what everyone assumed it was, which was stealing. It was him trying to pay everybody out of his PayPal. Now, why was he taking money from Macherino into his PayPal? Apparently, and this was admitted to by all parties who are now fighting or whatever, Macherino sometimes don't work so good. Instead of trying to get people to sign up to Macherino, instead of trying to deal with the issues the website has, Arturo would pay himself out to then throw the money to the players. However, with how much work Arturo was doing, it became overwhelming to the point where he needed some help to get everything settled. So it was very malicious of Macherino to put out that statement. I don't think the people writing it necessarily had malicious intent. However, the post from Macherino became very malicious because of lack of context and because of the wording chosen. Arturo had, like, people from Macherino knew Arturo was doing this for a long time. The way things were worded, it made us assume that Arturo was stealing money, when in fact it was mishandling funds. Was he got overwhelmed, right? And I'm very happy to hear that it's something like that instead of stealing, because I'm a big fan of Arturo, man. I think Arturo has done a lot for the scene. But even putting me aside, right, let's try to approach this from a non-biased situation. It seems very, like, not counterintuitive, maybe counterintuitive. Like, you know how you have your gut feelings about someone, and how you know somebody cares about the shit they do, and they wouldn't screw it up. I have that gut feeling about Arturo, where, like, he does the stuff he does for everybody, and he does not want to ruin it. That very much, like, bubbled up inside me, right? And it's difficult to discredit Arturo after everything he's done for the scene for so long. So to see that was heartbreaking, and because it came from a company like Macherino, for some odd reason, it made it way too easy for us to just take their word for it. And now it's coming out that, you know, it was not good. The Macherino's word was not great. Yeah, and Nako brings up a very good point. Because of this is an era of online scams, it's too easy to believe that something like this could happen. I think the damage that has been done, it's reaching farther than anything Macherino could have done. In the sense that I think from the way this looks, we all remember the call that D Nicest from the New York scene and Lord Bifuteki had, where they presented information of Arturo stealing money, blah, 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 all this other stuff. When now it seems like that was not the case. There were a couple of times where some people in that call were, I think, trying, not necessarily push an agenda is not what I mean, but I think they were taking the opportunity to, like, get revenge in some way, right? But again, we didn't know any better. All we had was Macherino's word, which we took for granted, and all we had was their word. And the ending of their statement was that TOs are going to come out with stories that are going to corroborate everything we're saying. Now, no longer. I do want to mention this. Oh my God. Hold on, we're not ready for this. No. Let's go back to the chill music. Sorry. Holy shit. We're not ready for that yet. We're not going that hard just yet. Now, where was I? I've completely lost train of thought. Crazy Tekken music went crazy. Here's the thing. I want to say this. I'm giving credit to Fnatic for the videos that he put together because they're very well put together. It presents all of the information and presents all of the facts and evidence to corroborate everything that Art has done and is saying. And there's another person on Twitter who has also been helping, like, show receipts for everything to come to Arturo's defense, which has been really cool. However, everything else Fnatic has been doing in regards to this, I think, has been hurting more than helping. So maybe he just needs to remap the dash button. I don't know. It's, you know, like, there was that stream with Rob TV and Fnatic yesterday that kind of didn't do anything for anyone, but just made everybody look bad. Like, and, like, again, I put no fault. For some odd reason, Rob TV is kind of getting attacked for, like, trying to put Arturo down when, like, that was not the case, right? And I think that's what they were going to talk about, but it just kind of it didn't come across how they intended it, and it came across as very damaging to all parties involved. I just feel like Rob TV is kind of getting the shit end of the stick for trying to help, and that's unfortunate, right? And this mentality of, like, harassing someone on social media is not good. And I think that needs to stop. But anyway, that's all I'll say about that, because I'm not involved. We're just looking at it from the outside in. And we're covering this because this affects the fighting game community, right? Like, Arturo is a big name who helps run a lot of tournaments in the New York scene. Other TOs in the New York scene were kind of shitting on Arturo, which has now caused this really bizarre, like, rift in the New York scene of, like, it's like politics. Like, there's, like, the Arturo side and the not Arturo side, when we should all just be on the same damn side and just trying to get back to normal. But I think this all stems from this. I think Matcherino was trying to save their own ass with what was happening. Yeah, so, okay, so before I get into what I was saying, Mean Scene is talking about how Spooky disassociated himself from Arturo. That is because a lot of people thought Arturo was Team Spooky. There are FGC Zoomers who don't know who Team Spooky is now. I probably shouldn't say that because it's like, it's not an age thing, so what I mean is there's a lot of people who are new to the FGC who don't know that Arturo and Spooky are two separate entities, right? And that was damaging Lord Spooky. Lord Spooky was getting a lot of shit for no reason. So I think Spooky did that to separate himself, to let him be back in his own corner of the internet. But anyway, all of this comes down to this. The issue between Arturo and Matcherino should have never gone to social media. The fact that Matcherino did caused a lot of damage to Arturo and to the scene, right? And caused a lot of damage to themselves. Instead of handling this in a private matter and then reporting on that after the resolution, just coming straight out with it, because I think they were trying to save their own asses, didn't do anybody any good. So as of right now, net negative for everybody. The FGC, Matcherino, Arturo, the New York scene, Twitter, everybody. Yeah, Nako's saying, like, that's credible cause for Arturo to pursue libel. I don't know anything about anything, so that's not for me to say. But the main issue is it's become this war of sorts where, like, you have one side who was trying to port Arturo down, and now that Arturo has been vindicated, now the side that's with Arturo is trying to put the other side down, where it's like, you said X, Y, and Z when it wasn't true, and now you need to apologize. Does Arturo deserve an apology? Yes. Is Arturo completely vindicated? I have no idea. Right? I have no idea. I'm on the outside of whatever this is. From the evidence that's been presented so far, my view of it is that, yes, Arturo mishandled the funds. However, it's not what was implied, which was stealing. It was just a man getting overwhelmed and trying to get back on top of everything. And it made a lot of sense, right? You guys remember right before this all happened and towards the end of last year, a lot of people were concerned about how much Arturo was doing. It's a shit situation for everybody involved and everyone around it. I'm happy that at least we're back on even footing. And it's kind of weird that Matcherino hasn't said anything. The only thing they've said is that they announced a new partner, and then they withdrew an announcement of a partner because they tried to partner with an NFT company that's very clearly a scam, even though they say they've vetted it. I looked into it. They're using assets from a licensing thing for $12, and their game requires money for everything. So that whole pay to earn thing, you're going to spend way more money than you're ever going to get. It's a scam. Because they give you the idea that you're going to be earning money, and instead you're just going to be spending money. So yeah, it doesn't make them look any better. And the fact that they put this out right after this whole thing is even worse. But yeah, either way, they withdrew the thing and they were like, whoops, sorry, but like, why'd you do it in the first place? I think that's all I'm going to say on this drama. Because like, at this point, the ball's on Matcherino's court to present whatever they're going to present. And I think they were trying to investigate and put together something a little bit stronger so that they can present it. I hope. If not, then everything that's happened beside this is awful and a direct what do you call it? A direct symptom of how shitty social media is and how shitty everyone using social media is. Until Maturino comes forward with this, I think it's better if we just go about living our lives and just go back to normal. They're going to do whatever they want. This isn't me telling Arturo to not do anything. This isn't me telling anybody to do anything. I'm just saying, for us here at Best of 5, and by us I mean me, we're just going to keep going.